Little disclaimer here, KPN is a publicly traded company. So if you decide to buy or sell KPN stock on the basis of what I'm saying today, you're bunkers. So go to the people at home, don't do it. I tried even to get some, because I saw some other publicly traded person trying to present, and he had a big blob of lawyerese text. I tried to get one from our lawyers, and they didn't make it in time, so insert something yourself here where you think that will really scare you. Please interrupt me if you have some questions. Sometimes I cannot answer your question, because I'm under really huge non-disclosure agreements and all that kind of stuff, so then I will refer to our corporate communication department in The Hague, who will not answer your question, but they will listen to you at least once or twice. This is me. I call myself Paul Krischer. My parents called me Jean-Paul, because it sounds really nice. KPN HR insists on calling me Jean. And the Anglo-Saxons make it then into Jean, which makes it sound even more sissy. Oh. Similar name with my department. My department, we still call it hosting. I think we had 4 names since I worked there in 2006. We are now cloud enablers, cloud enabling departments and stuff like that. I don't care, we're still at the hosting department. KPN bought, in 2007, we bought G-Tronics, which is an internationally renowned firm. It's now all part of KPN. They split off all the international stuff, except the people in Bangalore. So what do? I'm officially called Technisch Applicatiebeheerder, which doesn't mean anything to most of you, except the TomTom guys maybe. Which means I sort of technically handle or administrate applications. Still don't know what that means. Officially now I can call myself end-to-end solution architect. I still have no idea what that means. I managed to hack on my business card it says social engineer, which is sort of a hack by itself. It means different things to different people. And marketeers think I'm a techie on Twitter or something like that, which I am, but more about that later. I sort of call myself a hacker because I like to hang around with hackers and join hacker festivals and communities and stuff like that. But technically, I'm a bit of a noob. You know. Maybe you don't mention. I like open source. I've been evangelizing people to use Firefox and open source software whenever I can. In the open source world, I call myself Skit. At least that's how I pronounce it. That's how you write it. I blog at skit.net. Twitter stuff. And I like Drupal. Sorry. It's a CMS I've run into in the past and it sort of kept going and I'm now contributing to Drupal. I write a few modules. I visit conferences, organize conferences. And one of the things I did with Drupal is create the Varnish Tree release party website. I don't know if anybody remembers that. Yeah, you do. Yeah. I even, because it didn't exist, it was running on a KPN machine, even at my department, that officially didn't exist. And officially, Tolev didn't make a DNS record that didn't, well, anyway, we managed to, in 3 days, we get a website that, where you can apply for a party to celebrate the Varnish Tree release. I think we had in the end like 20-something parties all over the world. Yeah. So, I think it was successful. It was just a copy-paste action for the Drupal 7 release party websites, which I happen to know the developer of. But I hope we can do a 4.0 release party as well soon. We hear about that. The current site is totally dead because the machine that didn't exist now really officially does not exist.
Do you have the unofficial backup?
Yeah, I have an official Varnish USB key in my pocket that will take care of that. So we don't need to start all over again next time. What is KPN? KPN is a telco. And we also do IT services. We are the biggest IT firm in Holland. It's like, 20,000 people and still declining. I think every week I open the newspaper, some more colleagues getting fired. I'm in the good part of it, I think. We are the web hosting. We're still growing. We have one side of my department that does, mass hosting. So you pay us €4 and you get a website. won't perform, won't do anything, it doesn't have any memory, or what? It's a website. And that until, you know, really big clusters of Java, proprietary CMSs, and all the stacks you need to make that run. Like I said, I'm a real Drupal fanboy, so I managed to get KPN to support Drupal, at least in our hosting department. So if you have a serious Drupal website, you can contact us and we'll do it. Our department, there's departments where they still think open source is bad and evil. At least my department doesn't think so. We use a lot of open source. We use Linux, we use Nagios, we use Cacti, GLPI. Any tool we need, we look at open source first, see if we can at least build a prototype with that, and then see if some sales guy can sell his proprietary stuff if we're interested, and else it's going to be open source. So, two superheroes. I've been told is this the premiere of the new iteration of the Varnish Bunny? Oh dear, I got a premiere. Ruben sent it to me, so don't shoot me. We use Varnish to make most of our customers' website really fast. We've been using Varnish for that. And I've been also getting a little help from a guy called Captain Drupal, who got introduced this summer. The new Drupal superhero, sort of a spoof from the people called, a company called Wunderkraut. Google him, you'll find him. So, I'm not even exactly sure when we started with Varnish at KPN, because I was not there. At least some other guys who are now no longer with my department started with it, started playing with it, had plenty of POCs, proof of concepts and everything. What I do remember is that we had about 8 netcache appliances, as they call them. Totally black box. I think it's running some kind of Unix, but I'm not sure. It must be running some other well-known open source or free software. But officially, you don't know. You pay a lot, 5-figure amounts to get that platform going. And when it was started, I have no idea. There was rumors. No, there was rumors that only the maintenance was only like 40K a year, and that was just hardware. If you had a problem, you can call them, and they don't help you anyway, right? There was just, and I'm still a big fan of NetApp. I mean, their storage systems are really nice, and if your disk breaks, you got a guy with a new disk standing outside of your data center the next day and calling, say, "Yeah, I got a new disk for you." Oh, nice. We still use that part of their products, but we replaced that whole platform with 2 insanely capacitated Intel machines. The people who replaced this were sort of scared and said, "I know it's going to perform really good, but is it really going to perform this massive pieces of hardware with just a few simple Intel boxes?" They didn't believe so, so they put like, I don't know how many hundreds of gigabytes of RAM and really fast disks in there. And the people from Varnish said, "They're crazy, you're never going to need that." And we even started measuring it, and in the end, the RAM wasn't used, the disks were idling all day. So we sort of repurposed those machines, and we replaced them now with 4 relatively standard normal Intel machines. Tried to get a little beefy processor in there, a little extra memory, but nothing fancy. And it outperforms the whole netcache platform. We had one client with insane, I think it was like 120 elements for the initial homepage load, where we skipped off a whole second of their load time. Just drop in Varnish and you win a second. Nice. We also pay Varnish Cache for support. I'm not even sure. I think it could be like 1.5 years before we started negotiation and the contract was finally signed. Why? KPN corporate lawyers who didn't understand open source, and they were sticking, because inside Holland we are really big, right? We are the biggest IT company, so we can really muscle up and sort of scare smaller suppliers. And these guys still need to learn that outside of Holland, KPN is like, what? Yeah. So we had standard contracts that says you need to be 100% responsible for anything you supply us. And previous talks, Varnish Software also said, well, we're going to supply you a binary, an RPM package that will fit right onto your Red Hat Linux box, so we don't need to worry about that. Yeah, but we cannot agree with that. Why? Oh, well, for instance, on Linux, we link to glibc, and that is not our code, so there's a few bits and bytes there that we supply that will not fall under this country. It took a long time, but in the end, our legal department now understands what is open source, why we want to pay these people to work on the software. And even just referencing this contract negotiations, when we are now talking to, for instance, Acquia for support for our Drupal stack, referencing this with the legal department, says, oh, I remember. Yeah, okay. So in the end, a few people who came after this really were helped by this. So thank you, people from Varnish Software. What do we do actually? I'm not the techie who built it himself. We have one guy who fortunately couldn't be here. He's not even officially a KPN employee. He's called Kelly van Vliet. He's posting on the forum and the news group on the Johnny Half Moon nickname. We just have a shared platform, a Varnish platform that we use for all our internal clients that host at us, and a few external clients. So for instance, the biggest supermarket chain in Holland, Albert Heijn, also all their static files run through our caches, even though they host somewhere in Germany. They were having a lot of speed increases and bandwidth cost improvement just by using our caches as sort of a CDN. We encapsulate the whole platform with Cisco 8 load balancers, which we have anyway. I mean, I wouldn't buy them myself, but hey, it's there. So, and it works. And it does SSL offloading pretty well. But we start to use Varnish as well for some backend load balancing. So we're making progress. I think in our Varnish 3 implementation, we will move either completely or almost completely to backend load balancing by Varnish. When we started with a few clients, this was doable to just have one VCL file or two maybe. When we started to have more than 20, things started to add up. So we now have a sort of a structure where we have a few main VCLs that are global with all global settings, and then we have site or client-specific VCL files that get included in that. At least then we have a little more easy. All these client-specific VCL files follow the same template, so a little more predictable. If you want to change one feature for multiple clients, you can easily find that blob of VCL code and just change it. In the end, worked pretty nice. We had some extra inline C to make sure we got our Nagios and our Cacti implementations up to speed. So we have alerting and Nagios that will tell us, hey, it's not only down, but also, hey, I got a lot of errors from this backend. Maybe you want to check it out. Or this whole platform seems to be buggy. I get a lot of 503s passing here. Can be interesting. With Cacti, we do trending. So if you saw a few graphs, we do a lot of those. All our clients, we have at least 3 graphs. We see errors, with different color coding. So if an error graph goes up, there's something going on with this application, with the server, with a database backend, whatever is causing that 503 or that file not found error. Maybe there's a file system corrupt somewhere. We also have caches ratio. So we can see for each side, how is the caches ratio, how much of the front-end request will lead to a back-end request, etc. And we do some bandwidth estimation. Because we're an ISP, bandwidth is for free for us. It's literally for free. Because all our DSL customers will use way more bandwidth than we will ever can send back in the same pipes and with the symmetric bandwidth deals we have. Bandwidth is free for us. And I did a little implementation of the Purge or ban over HTTP. And that brings me to Drupal. When I remember Tolev came to our company and gave us all a little course in administrating Varnish and explain how to work with it every day. He explained me purging. It sounds really good. You can do that over a socket, or you can create an HTTP request that will do that. And I would like that too, because I know a few of my clients, these web developers in general, have the tendency to think that proxies are bad and they're just holding up traffic and content updates and stuff like that. So at least giving them a purge functionality will at least give them the idea that they're working on it to make it as fast as possible. Problem was, there was already a Varnish module for Drupal, but it only uses the administrative socket, the console. This is not an option in a shared environment, because I don't trust all my web designers and all the people working for all these companies, working with all these CMSs, to play by the rules. So I implemented a module. I called it Purge. You can download it at this URL. That does send Purge requests over HTTP. I started out with just Varnish in mind, but it turns out that a lot of others, proxies and CMSs and all, support the similar method. So I just generalized it a little bit. And, it's not a big module. It's like 300 users average, but it's getting bigger. I got, The Economist and a few other big sites who won't mention their name to me, but I know the people working on big sites who use it. Which is nice, because I haven't really coded anything ever in my life, so now my code is running The Economist. It's out for Drupal 6 and 7, so try it out if you need it. Shameless Plug, nothing to do with all the other. Observe HackMac is a really going to be awesome outdoor hacker festival in the Netherlands, 4 days next year, summer. Check out the website and hope we see you there. Any questions? Somebody running? Yeah.
Thanks. Hi. I was just wondering, you named that you're using 2.1. Are you planning on moving to Varnish 3 or?
We are. It was supposed to be done by now, but earlier this year we got a little incident. We got hacked the shit out of us. So that gave us a lot of work. And made national news and everything, so I would have been done by now, but unfortunately resources are a little tied up, so I think it's going to be early next year. Yep. All right. Huh? At some point it needs to. We have no problem running EOL software in big companies like ours, trust me. We have Linux kernels from the beginning of time. We have Solaris 9 machines. Don't touch it, because the software supplier won't support it if you just make one patch. Yeah. More questions?
Any issues running Varnish? Do you have any problems?
No, because we're really slow. Like we said, we really moved. I think we were the last shop to move to Varnish 2, I think, and then we're probably going to be one of the last to move to Varnish 3. We take it really easy. We don't do really scary things to CMS partners that won't understand caches anyway. So we just leave most of their settings alone, even their cache ratio isn't optimal. We say, okay, let's just do it like that. No big issues really. Sometimes we have a little bug, but then the people at Varnish help us out a few times when we encounter that. It's been a smooth ride so far.
And the setting of the TTL, that's left to the client, to the customer, to the application that is running?
Most of the time, yeah. We have idiots who don't know what we're doing anyway, so we do it for them. But, yeah. There's exceptions. Like I said, we have a few CMSs that we support through this, a few CMSs we have no idea about what they're doing and they have no idea what a proxy does, and then we help them a little understand. Yep.
Hi, you said your module does purging and cache invalidation, does that just do it on a per URL basis, or does it do any
Yeah.
clever stuff like being able to purge based on
No.
HTTP headers and
I've
stuff?
been sort of holding off wildcards or regular expressions in my setup. It's purely because of an ego thing. I think, you know, doesn't help my case if I get a cache clear all. That's what the original Varnish module for Drupal did. Every time there was one content update, it would clear the complete Varnish cache. That's one of the motivations why I wrote the per URL module, to at least force developers and force site implementators to think about what they're doing and then just flush it all. So in theory you could implement that. I think I have the feature since week number 3. I put up the module on Drupal.org. So yeah, people want it. But then again, I think if you are you have such tight control over what you're doing on your use case, you probably can make use of the Varnish module and use the socket. Any more questions? Then we have coffee.
Yeah, thank you.